Before I jump into my talk, I just have to give a shout out to all the teens that have been involved in this production. I am so impressed. Can we give them a round of applause? From the pit to up there to the back to everywhere, so amazing, so good. I just feel honored to be here, and I'm just thank you for having me. It was 11th grade English class, and I was sitting in my reading group talking about The Great Gatsby, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, I was acting out, and then I blurted out a swear word. Sarah, outside. I got up, head held high, dying of embarrassment on the inside, and I walked across the classroom out into the hallway. This was not the first time I'd had to take such a walk. Mrs. Clark didn't come out right away. She made me wait and wait. And eventually when she came out, she said 5 words that have impacted my life, both personally and professionally, ever since. You are better than that. Wait, what? I was not expecting that. I was used to the typical teacher frustration with my behavior, like a little dose of shame mixed with criticism and then a serving of detention. Not Mrs. Clark. In that moment, she challenged me. It was as if she could see through all my BS and she knew what I was capable of. And as a result, it invited me to see myself differently. Maybe I wasn't that crazy girl that had to go to 3 different high schools trying to find herself and just being an average student. Maybe I could see myself differently. Fast forward 15 years, and now the roles are reversed. I'm the teacher looking at Ariana and telling her, you are better than that choice. And this is a role that I've continued to play in my life, inviting teens to channel their rebellion into leadership and entrepreneurship, and inviting adults to take their ideas seriously. But when I was getting busted in Mrs. Clark's class, I had no idea what my future held. I did not know that my tumultuous teenage years were going to be the foundation on which I built my success. I was just a 16-year-old girl asking every single day, why is this happening to me? Anybody else relate to that? Why is this happening to me? Oh, I see hands, I love it. Maybe in connection to a guy, a girl, maybe in connection to some friendships, things happening at school, or maybe some family turmoil. It's a very common question to ask, but I'm gonna share with you how changing one word in that question altered my life journey and perspective. I replaced the word to with the word for. And in that moment, I went from being a victim in my life to a victor. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? I ask, why is this happening for me? Now, this shift in perspective has allowed me to handle my life journey that really hasn't gone according to plan. I mean, I've had 3 different careers, and there's been lots of twists and turns and setbacks and successes. But my ability to see that everything is working for me has allowed me to enjoy it a little bit more and appreciate the full circle moments. Those moments when you go, oh, that's why that happened, or now I get it. But I didn't always enjoy the full circle moment because sometimes things happen in life that you really just don't understand. Like my sophomore year in high school. I was at a boarding school. A rumor spread that I had told on my roommate for a school violation, but I hadn't done it. It wasn't me. But it didn't matter how many times I told them it wasn't me. Everywhere I went, they called me a narc. I'd walk down the hallway, narc, narc, narc. I remember getting on the school bus to head out on a field trip and walking down that aisle and hearing the whispers, narc, narc, narc. I was so grateful for my friend Bree, who saved me a seat on that bus and had my back during that time, because I was frustrated and I was upset and I was wondering, where is that teacher? Where is that school administrator? Why is this happening to me? But here's the interesting thing about life. Even if we can't see it in the moment, we are being prepared for what's to come. If my 15-year-old self knew that one day I was going to be a teacher, launch a company advocating for teens, I wouldn't have been so worried about why things were happening. I'd be like, this is all working for me. But I didn't. I worried a lot. Anyone relate to that? Anybody worry about things? Thank you. Maybe you're worrying about that college acceptance letter that you're waiting for. Or maybe you're waiting for that guy or girl to call. Maybe you stay up at night wondering, how am I going to land that dream job or get that internship? But here is the very sneaky thing about worrying. It gives you the illusion that you are accomplishing something, when really it is just pulling you away from enjoying the present moment. And I know how hard it is to break the cycle of worry. It's so easy to get caught in that why me tailspin. And that is when I remind myself to pull back. You know, like in the movies, when the camera's zoomed in real tight, and when it pulls away, you see, I'm looking at a boat in a river, in a canyon, and eventually you see the whole picture. Well, I have to remind myself to do that in my life, because sometimes I can zoom in on the things that I think are out of whack and not working for me. And when I remind myself to pull back, I can see all the good that's going on. And I remind myself, it's okay if you don't have all the answers yet. It's okay if you don't know why, because the answers are on their way, and worrying and fretting will not get them to you any faster. Now, I had to remind myself to pull back after working on the film Elf. And yes, Will Ferrell is just as funny and nice and great as you think he is. But after we wrapped that film, I felt this need to get into work that felt more personally meaningful. And so I left Los Angeles and I became a teacher. But during that time as a teacher, I would feel this pull and temptation and tug to get back into film and production. And then it would make me not really enjoy what I was doing. And then I would remind myself to pull back and to remember that everything is working for me. And I don't know how the story is going to end. I don't know how it's all going to work out or when my full circle moment will appear. But I know everything is working for me. And my ability to do that allowed me to enjoy my teaching experience while also joyfully anticipating film coming back into my life. And guess how long I had to wait for that to happen? 10 years. 10 years until a production company approached me about doing a documentary on the teen entrepreneurs that I work with. And if I had wasted that time worrying and fretting, I wouldn't have enjoyed the teaching experience. But because of my experience, to know that everything is working for me, I enjoyed the teaching, and now I have this experience of film back in my life. Now, I've shared with you some great examples of everything working for me and full circle moments, but I think it's really important that I share with you that there's some things that I don't have the answers to in my life, and that there's journeys that I'm on right now that I do not know how they're going to turn out. For example, I'm scaling my company across the country, and things haven't really gone according to plan. There have been a lot more setbacks than I anticipated. I was in New York 6 months ago, and it was the last meeting of the last day where we were really finalizing this deal that was going to make it possible for my company to expand and for thousands of teens to become entrepreneurs. And then somebody posed a question about building lease agreements and whether or not they would allow us to bring an outside program into the building. And when that person asked that question, an internal freak out occurred, and I screamed internally. How did we not talk about this before? We've been talking for a year. Like, how did this not come up? But I masked the freak out by calmly asking, can we get an answer on that sooner rather than later? And they assured me that it was probably not going to be that big of a deal, but 5 hours later, on my flight back to San Diego, I opened up my email to find out the deal was not going to go through. Shh! Yes, I swore out loud, just like I did in that classroom, because there are things that don't change. But then I reminded myself of what I know how to do. And I said to myself, I don't know how, but this is going to work for me. Now, ideally, I would be standing on this stage and telling you how it all worked out. and that I have my answer, and I know why that business deal didn't go through, but I don't. I don't know yet. But it's my job to, instead of taking the time in between why, like something happening to me and why it happened, I don't fill that with worry and anxiety. I fill it with productivity by reminding myself of 3 things. 1, get over yourself. The world does not owe me anything. I know it sounds harsh, but it's true, and sometimes all the worrying and stressing comes from thinking that it does. We think because we're smart, we should be able to get into a certain college, or because we're good, something should happen, or because I worked really, really hard, that business deal should go through. No, that's not how it works. And when I catch myself focused on what I think I deserve, on what I think I should get, I remind myself to give to somebody else. I remind myself that to create something of value for someone else, get over myself. So if you catch yourself getting caught up in self-absorption and on what you think you deserve, get over yourself and give. 2, get smart. Instead of filling my mind with thoughts of worry and anxiety, I like to fill it with knowledge. You know, we can only think one thought at a time. And instead of getting so caught up in the worry and the stress, when you start focusing on learning and gaining knowledge, you go from being a victim to a victor. When I was stressing out about how we were going to fund the development of our website, I got so caught up in learning about web design that I actually ended up designing 2 websites for 2 companies, and I got to use the funds for something else. So given the fact that you can only think one thought at a time, what kind of thoughts will you entertain? 3, get going. Rejection is protection. I have been rejected. You will be rejected. You'll be rejected. You'll be rejected. We will all be rejected. We won't get the guy. We won't get the girl. We won't get the job. We won't get into the college we think, or we might not get the investor funding that we think we deserve. But here's the deal. You have a choice in that moment. Will you see that rejection as protection, as everything working for you and pushing you towards something better? Or will you fall victim of your circumstances? I choose to see any form of rejection as a way of protecting me, and I go, I can't wait to see what's coming if this isn't for me. I'm an entrepreneur. I get rejected regularly. I get told no often. But I don't focus too much on the no, because then I miss the yes that's on the way. Because here's the deal. The answers are going to come. You will have your full circle moments. But because you go from 2 to 4 and from victim to victor, it doesn't so much matter when they arrive, because the journey and the space in between is just as valuable as the answers themselves. Thank you so much.